And we are live
send me the
again.
link on my phone?
I can do that. Yep. I forgot to do that
I know
because I
you
was trying to set up loads of things at once.
You can access Instagram on the
To an amazing start.
Yes, immediately. This is why I asked if Casper was ready, because I didn't want to have to do things, but that was my fault. I forgot to send the Tiltify link. Right, there's the Tiltify link. Meg, if you want the Tiltify link, it's on your Facebook now. I don't know where you can post it, but if you can, that would be great, because that's where people can donate to donate. So, right, yes, this stream, like all the other streams on my channel at the minute, is a fundraising stream. So, if you type !charity, no caps, no spaces, into my chat, you will get a donation link, which goes to Tiltify. So, if you've never seen me before and you don't trust any of us, then you can at least trust Tiltify, because that's a completely different company who deals specifically with fundraising things, and we are fundraising up here at the top of my stream above these guys. You can see we're fundraising for Solace Women's Aid, which
I am now live as well.
Fantastic, which is a wonderful charity that helps women and children out of domestic abuse situations in London. They have over. I actually had some numbers up on my screen before, and now they are gone. Oh, actually, I'm gonna get this up on my thing for a second. They have over 37 refuge and move on accommodation properties that can house 168 women and families, and they've supported over 1,600 survivors of domestic and sexual abuse each year since the 1970s, which I think is just incredible. So if you can donate, even if it's just £1, that's £1 more than we had at the start, and that is awesome. Right, that's my long talking bit out of the way. Up here is Megan Holloway. Hello, Meg Holloway. How are you doing?
Hello.
How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Casper, how are you? Casper's up here.
I am okay. I'm just promoting the Tiltify link on my Instagram.
I always get so stressed when it gets up to doing a podcast or even doing a live show, because I realize of how many things I have to promote this on. So I'm just like, shit. I do a checklist in my head, which now I'm thinking about it, I forgot to do Twitter, but it's okay.
Being a social media star is hard, you know.
Yes, my social media star with my 48 followers on Twitch, which honestly is great. I'm actually really glad about that. But anyway, so yeah, we are here today because we wanted to, I wanted to do a podcast where we talked a bit about how we can make women feel safer on the streets and everything that's happening right now, especially after the tragic death of Sarah Everard and the vigils and the police brutality we've seen since. But the issue with us, me and Casper, just sitting here and doing a podcast about that is we're both men. So we thought, why not get along a very good friend of mine and a wonderful artist, Meg Holloway, to tell us what she thinks about everything that's going on right now. So, Meg, I think it's fairly safe to say that you've experienced this same kind of thing that a lot of women experience, where it's unsafe to go out at night, and that kind of mentality where you've been told to stay at home instead of men being told to not abuse women, that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's like no one tells you directly, but it's something that you learn very quickly. Like, I wouldn't even think about leaving my flat at night without Josh, my boyfriend. Like, no questions. Yeah. And it's like, it's the whole thing of like, oh, well, not every man would do that, but that's not the point.
Yeah, no, that's not the point.
No, because
because let me get this out there, just we're 5 minutes into 10 minutes into the podcast, are already getting deep. If anyone is watching this either now or in the future and has the not all men mentality, just grow up already. How many times, how long, how many years has it been now where people have criticized the not all men and given valid arguments against it? Because that's not the point of saying it.
How old is the world? Because
this
argument has been going on for
far too long, and it's ridiculous that it's even an argument or even a debate. It's ridiculous that we even feel the need to make a podcast episode where we talk about it specifically.
It's
you
know what's even more ridiculous? The fact that women still aren't safe at night, and it's 2021. It's ridiculous. And obviously you can be safe, not safe during the day as well. It's not something that's specifically just for the night.
But I saw a post popping up on my feed recently, because a lot of it has been about a lot of this stuff, and it was just like, rules for men, you're fine. Rules for women: always hold your keys between your fingers, don't go out past this time, always have a male voice on your answering machine, always go out with a man, that kind of thing. And it's just like, holy shit.
It's like, always pretend, and everybody has a different way of dealing with it. Like, my thing still, even though I'm part of the man now, I was raised as female, that fear is never going to go away. I always pretend to be on the phone, and I don't know why I pretend. I could quite easily phone someone and they'd speak to me, but for as long as I remember, I've always just pretended to be having a conversation, and I must sound insane because it's blatantly obvious I'm pretending.
Oh no, I've seen loads of like TikTok videos where people are like, "Oh, if you're in a taxi or you're walking home and you feel unsafe, play this."
Yeah, same.
And it sounds like you're on the phone to someone, and they're just the fact that we have to make these videos is just mind blowing.
Yeah, it's just so like, it's good that they're there.
It's I was about to say.
If that had been a thing when I was walking home from school, I would have felt a lot more comfortable walking home alone. Sort of thing, like. There's got to be an entire generation of teenagers who have that as a coping mechanism, I guess.
And, like a default, you just
and
like,
it's good that I just wanted to add on, like, it's good that there's so many apps and things now as well. Like, what 3 words is a good one, which can tell you exact 3 words of the, like, there's 3 words mapped to your exact geographical location on a map. So, like, if you're out somewhere in the middle of fucking nowhere, and you need to get the police to you, but it's just like, I don't know, field, gate. You can just look this up, look up your exact location, and they use it to get to you, and things like that. There's all kinds of apps and stuff, and Uber have been good for like safeguarding, where there's a button on their app now where you're just like, no, I don't feel safe. Help.
I saw a Facebook post yesterday about an app that I've forgotten what it was called. That like live shows you all of the knife crimes that have happened nearby with little blue dots. I think you might have
seen
shared
that,
it. I think you might have shared it.
What's it
Might be
called?
me, I've seen it.
And all of the assaults against women were little red dots. And I was gonna download it, but I'm terrified. That
I don't want to know.
Look at that sort
but you don't want to know, but it's good to know as well.
It is good to know, but also I guess I am guilty of wanting to be oblivious. Because then I don't need to be as concerned.
That's what a lot of people are doing right now.
Yeah, like,
people don't want to know. They don't, like, when the figure of 97% of women have been sexually assaulted in some way came out. A lot of people were like, oh no, no.
Like,
it's like,
let's just brush over that one. Yeah,
I've seen a lot of men that are like, oh, what about the ones that lie about it? And like, I think every woman I know and person that was brought up as female, because I know a lot of trans guys who transitioned in their early adulthood, everyone I know that identified as female at one point in their life has been attacked in some way. Like, even if something that used to happen a lot when I was at school, was boys would walk past you on the corridor. For context, I identified as female until I was 19, so I was female in high school. A lot of boys would walk down the corridor and grab your ass and like touch you, like as you were walking down the corridor. And I once got told off by a teacher because I elbowed a kid in the face because he grabbed my ass. I punched him because I was like, "What the?"
I'm sorry, it's a serious topic, but just the delivery. I can imagine. I can just imagine you like.
I was like, "What the fuck are you doing? You just grabbed my ass. I'm trying to walk to maths." And my teacher, brought me into the family manager because we had like houses. I don't want to say too much about the school because it will make it really obvious which school it is.
Yeah.
But we had like houses and there was like heads of year, but the school was cut up into quarters. I was brought into their family office and I was like, and I was like, and they were like, you can't just punch people, and I was like, he sexually assaulted me. Like, in the corridor. And my teacher said to me, boys will be boys. Like, you need to expect that. So I left that teacher's office at the age of 14, thinking that if a man grabbed me and touched me, that's something I just need to put up with.
Yeah, that's just the norm.
Got me into some pretty bad situations, mainly at gigs when I was a teenager. Like, men tend to grab you at gigs when you're a female because that's just what happens. Safe Gigs for Women, women are a great charity who like work with bands to make gigs safe for women. So I grew up as a teenager thinking that a man could just grab me and I couldn't do anything because boys will be boys.
Yeah, and this is the thing. They told you...
been told that wasn't okay behaviour and that was sexual assault.
They should have been told that... The boys should have been told that that's not okay. And this is the thing. It's that mentality, it's that teaching of, especially in high schools and at a young age, of boys will be boys and all that shit. But then when you react, which you should, because it's it is self-defense, when you react the way that you did, you get told that you're in the wrong. And and I think, and what I'm hoping that we can add to here, and what I'm hoping that is just going to come out of the conversations that are happening now, is more education for people, for men especially, but also for women, to be told that they can report stuff, or they can lash out, or even that the law can be changed, that if you do react violently towards something like that, it's classed as self-defense, because it fucking should be.
It's easier to punish the victim than it is to the perpetrator. It's just easier. It's like, oh, well, you shouldn't have done this. You shouldn't be wearing revealing clothing. You shouldn't have walked home at night on your own. It's easier to do that than go after the person that assaulted them.
Why?
I think it's because it's law. Because the law states that the law obviously states like rape and assault and things like that are illegal, but there's nothing to state if you punch this dickhead in the face because he groped you unconsensually, the law goes against you in that. They're just like, you did the assault then, and it's like, no, this is self-defense. This should be classed. as
They
self-defense.
don't cancel each other out.
Yeah, exactly. And it's become so easy to blame the victim, and become so easy to do this. Like when Sarah Everard was being investigated. I mean, her case is still being investigated as we speak. But initially, the police told women to have a curfew, to stay at home during this.
And they've done that before, like.
Yeah, and it's like, that's not what you're doing is further punishing women for a woman having died.
Yeah.
You're not solving anything.
Stay at home. You're telling us to stay at home like we're not already staying at home, like the majority of women.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, and it's just, I think that it is important to note that I went to school almost 10 years ago now.
Yeah,
So
things have changed for the
highly
better
doubt
slightly, but it's still...
I think it was an isolated incident. Like, it happened a lot at my school, but that was just my school. It's definitely changed since then. And I think the best way to combat it would be teach kids at a young age, like primary school age, in PSHE lessons and citizenship lessons, that they can say no to being touched. As simple as they can say no to hugging a relative or kissing a relative to say goodbye at the age where they can hug people would be the start, and then later on progress into, actually, no, you can't grab that girl's ass in the corridor, like when they're 11 or 12. Well, maybe not that exact word, because that's not very suitable for a classroom. But you know what I mean. And a lot of people are saying that, well, I've seen a lot of men saying that it shouldn't be their job to educate their sons.
But that's the source of the
What?
problem.
How does that logic even track?
I don't understand why in any world somebody would need to be told not to follow a woman home in the dark, or not to touch a woman without consent, or a man without consent, touch anybody without consent, and not kill people. It shouldn't be something
Fundamental thing.
Yeah, it shouldn't be something that's up to a school to teach them. Like, that, we need to start that at a very young age. We need to teach kids that we treat people with love, and just, we don't murder people. And speak
Just
to
a simple
women,
concept that no one seems to be able to grasp.
like, speak to girls about these issues and tell them that it's okay to shout for help or go and knock on a stranger's door if you feel unsafe as well. Because I used to walk home a lot at like 2 a.m. when I was a teenager because I was stupid. And I always got told, no, you can't go and knock on that stranger's door in the middle of the night if you're being followed. But, like, you should.
As far as the person that's following you is concerned, you could be walking to your friend's house, and that could be your friend's house door, like...
Yeah, like, exactly. I just think that it's just, we shouldn't be having this conversation again.
Well, no, we should though. We should be having this conversation because, like, we like I have said in this podcast that we shouldn't need to do this, and that this shouldn't need to be a debate. But the reality of the fact that it is like these things are being debated. Like, women's rights still get debated for some fucking reason. It shouldn't be, but the reality of it is that it is, and we still need to talk about it because it is, and this is the thing. So
recording.
Neither am I. I think I'm just gonna rip it straight from the stream. Right, I completely forgot for this one.
Sorry,
but
I totally interrupted you.
It's fine. Also, someone in my chat just said, to add insult to injury, the government's decided that statues are more important. Not gonna lie,
basically.
the whole system needs to be overhauled from teaching to laws to make sure women are safe.
Yeah, the government
more time
yesterday,
a statue.
yesterday passed a bill to basically say that protests are illegal. So
pretty
I'm
much, yeah. You're flat out banned from protesting outside Parliament, just completely. That's not allowed anymore.
In general.
And defacing a statue, I'm being told in my chat, it gives a 10-year prison sentence, whereas sexual assault only gives 5.
6 months in some cases.
What the fuck?
6 months in most cases. Like 5 is like the 5 is like the maximum, isn't it? Or 5 is like the record. I don't know how laws work completely, but that's like
5 is the maximum.
Yeah, but like the majority of times it's 6 months.
And it's important to note that only 1.3% of rapes are convicted.
Yeah.
The other 99.7 left free to walk the streets, and that's only the ones that are reported. Because it's a difficult thing to speak about, let alone report to a policeman.
And when you're raised with being told that it's your fault, or that somehow it was something to do with what you were wearing, or the fact that you went out at night, you feel like it is your fault, and if you feel like that, if you go to the police, you're gonna either get blamed or you're just going to get ignored, because that's the mentality that comes with it.
It's just disgusting, and I think it is something that needs to be spoken about, because I have never once been spoken to in an educational setting about rape or consent at all.
No.
And it's a difficult conversation to have, I know it is, and it's an emotional one for a lot of people, but I think it's very important to speak to your friends, especially your female friends, about rape. Like, we went to see a comedian last year. I don't know whether you remember, right?
I do roughly, yeah.
He did an entire show about rape and how one of his friends raped another one of his friends. And how it was really difficult to speak about, but joking about it with him helped his friend report it and helped his friend deal with it. And it's an important conversation that is often brushed over when we talk about assault as well, because nobody likes talking about it. Like, I'm feeling a bit uncomfortable talking about it now, which just shows me that it needs to be spoken about more, because it just, I don't know, the dirty stigma behind speaking about rape especially needs to just be taken away, because a lot of victims would feel a lot better about it.
Yeah, it makes it easier, because as soon as you say the word rape or assault in a sentence, there's an immediate a change in in how that conversation feels and how it goes. That that doesn't need to be there, because it feels like it's holding people back from being able to talk about it.
Yeah. And
it's very much blame the victim as well as also the default.
It is blame the victim.
If someone comes to you and says, "Oh, I've been raped," your first thought is, "Okay, why? What did you do?"
Yeah.
What did you do?
And
your clothes were too short.
And I find a lot of the time, people also don't believe the victim. Like, as a man, if one of my friends brought it up with me, I think I would immediately be like, why? Like there is a reason behind it. Not. Does that make sense? Does that make me sound like a nasty person?
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, it is, unfortunately.
And
so
that needs to be changed.
It does.
It's how society treats women and people who have been sexually assaulted. It's blame them. So it is the default. Like, that's the first thing that comes into your head. But I think it's important to realize that that's wrong. And instead of wondering why that person, why did they do that to them, you should be like, okay, well, we need to catch the perpetrator. We need to report it. We need to make sure you're okay, and not blame you instantly.
And
definitely.
Also, you need to treat the victim with respect. And if somebody says that they have been raped, you need to run them a bath and give them a hug and fuck off the person that did it, most importantly.
Yeah, because people like to try and close knit on their friendships. They don't want to believe that their brother, their best friend, their friend, or even their acquaintance or whatever, that they don't that. Because I've had an example of this happen recently. I can't and won't name names, but there is something. It isn't rape or sexual assault, but there is something happened recently where someone who I was acquaintances with did something quite awful to someone else. And there is police in matter and everything, so I can't get into any of that part. But as soon as I heard this, I didn't want to believe it, because I didn't want to believe that my judgment of people that I could talk to was so bad that I associated with this person. And I think that they like people will defend their loved ones and people will defend their friends, when really you should be like, whoa, dude, what the fuck? and break that tie and break that avenue. I have since broken that tie with that person, but my first immediate thing was like, why is my judgment so bad? Oh shit, I don't want to believe this, but it happened, and you've got to be like, no, get away from me.
But it's not your judgment. Sometimes people do these horrible things, and there's nothing we could. And
they put on this front of a nice person that you want to talk to.
I have lost friends because they sided with somebody who abused me in that way when I was female, and I have also lost friends. Well, got rid of friends who have sexually assaulted my friends. And I really struggle still now, 25, almost 10 years on, to see how people that I thought were my best friend wouldn't believe me when I told them that somebody they sat round with at the park had violated me in that way, and they are still friends with that person to this day, almost 10 years later. And with this talk and the gif of Daniel Sloss going around that's like about him fucking off his friend, I just quite often think, like, what even were my friends back then? Like, it's just pretty gross that...
I think it goes straight back to, like, it's easier to blame the victim. Like, it's easy to think, oh, they're lying.
Yeah.
Than it is to cut off a friend, because, like you're saying, oh, you kind of blame yourself and you're thinking, oh, why was I ever friends with that person? But, yeah, you don't know that they could be capable of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just easier to blame the victim and then carry on as your life is normal, because you don't want it to affect your life, because it didn't happen to you.
And you don't want that. You don't want that conversation. You don't want that confrontation. But I think that how would because I'm trying to think of a way myself, but I'll put this question out there to you guys as well. How would you educate it so that it's easier for people to do this conversation, to call people out? Because I'm thinking some kind of school, something in schools, or some kind of education that can be brought up, as well as education around sex ed. Sexuality is a different topic, but also that needs to be on there as well, and rape and things like that. But I'm thinking something like that. How would you teach people that they need to confront their friends when they're being creepy or abusive, or just outright cut them off if they've done something so unforgivably wrong?
If it was me and I was planning a lesson for a school, I would probably just get a survivor so a group of people are then confronted with somebody who has been through this and is telling them how awful it is for them and how it has affected their lives. Because quite often for people, I'm guilty of this myself, I don't think things are that bad until they happen to me. Like, until I'm faced with that awful thing, then, and I can put a face to the action, I guess, then I don't think about that. I think the best way to educate people is speak to your friends that have been assaulted and have been raped, and use the word rape as well. Don't dart around the topic. Because a lot of it is, and I understand trigger warnings, I have triggers myself, and I understand some people need certain words not to be used around them. Respect that, but also, if it's not a trigger for someone, use that word, like, make it a normal conversation, really.
Does that make sense? Normalize it. No, it does. If you normalize it, then someone who has been attacked will feel more comfortable to talk about it themselves.
Yeah, because that word it makes my skin crawl. And
same.
I don't know why, because we need to talk about it, because, like, I don't know, like, I've got friends who have had their lives destroyed by that sort of thing, and I think we owe it to them as a society to fix this problem for the next generation of girls. I want my goddaughter to go to school and be able to speak about speak to her friends about her boundaries. And I want her to know that word, because if it happens to these people, then they need the word to put to it. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Because
someone also in my chat just mentioned, honestly, Joel, I just mentioned, honestly, there needs to be a lot more conversation about red flags, both in and what to look for, and to raise awareness of these things are not okay. They're not just warnings, they're bad in themselves.
Yeah. Like,
which is a good point. I like that. I like that, actually.
I was in a very domestically abusive relationship in my teenage years, and I thought it was normal. I tried to speak about it with my friends, and they said, "Oh, that's normal."
And,
I relate to that, and I hate it so much.
if somebody had turned round to me at that critical stage in my life and said, "No, you leave a man if he raises his voice to you, or raises his," I can't think of anything, or like tries to hurt you or anything, then you leave and you get help and you tell someone. I wouldn't have put my life in danger if if one of my friends that I told at the time had said, no, leave because he's going to end up fucking hurting you, then I probably wouldn't have listened, actually, because
this is the topic. This is the thing, though. In that situation, the conversation should never have to come to the point of, well, obviously, if he does this or that, leave him. But the conversation beforehand should be for the man in that situation to be like, hey, don't abuse people.
Yeah.
and like, this is what, because I can't speak to because Casper has known these sometimes unspoken and sometimes spoken rules of what it's like to be a woman at night. Meg, you do know them now. I don't. I've never have. And I come from this privileged position as a cis man, where I can and I'm grateful, honestly, to be able to say that I do feel safe walking around at night. But no one ever said to me, hey, you shouldn't be this way or that way. No one ever spoke to me. All I ever heard was people telling women to avoid this or avoid that. No one ever speaks to the men beforehand. So I can speak to what it's like to be a young man growing up in a high school or in this kind of society that pressures you to not have that emotional feeling and to and teaches you these certain things. Because where girls in my school were taught safety and stuff, boys in my school were taught, oh, if you're mean to a girl, then that will make her like you. And you know, that kind of
conversation. I saw a post the other day and it was too relatable and too accurate, but it was that if you teach girls that if a boy abuses her, that means he likes her, she's more likely to get in a relationship with a man who abuses her and stay with it because she thinks that's normal, right?
Exactly.
And then that brings on a whole load of other issues.
Because then the men in that situation, the boys, well, because they're kids at the time, the boys in that situation are simultaneously being told, be mean to this person, and that's how you get them to like you, and it's terrifying. And there's a conversation about sex and sex ed, you know. I was never given any kind of talk from anyone, and the only sex ed I ever had. Yeah, the only sex ed I ever had was the condom on the banana thing in high school, and a diagram of a vagina where someone just pointed at a spot on it and went, "That's the clitoris," and that was the whole fucking thing, right? And there's it was terrible. Yeah. It was absolutely terrible. But you know, then a lot of people who were my age back then. Would learn about what sex is through the internet and through porn, which is a whole other level of fuckery because no one in porn is enjoying themselves. I'm quite glad recently, because of the coming round of OnlyFans and things like that, that women can take more control over whether or not they want to be in that industry and have the control and the money out of what they show and how they do it and all of that. I think there's been great steps made in that, but especially when I was a teenager, everything you learned was through porn because no one was really teaching you, and that was so damaging. Go on, Casper.
And one of the most important things that needs to be taught to boys and girls and non-binary pals is that porn isn't real life. Nobody is gonna have hairless bodies because it's just not fucking normal. Who can be arsed shaving every day? I fucking can't. And
Yeah, because it teaches
and
it
I
teaches.
think
Go
it
on.
would be as simple as including a scene in porn where one of the partners says to the other, "Are you okay with this?"
That's not strictly speaking true though, because they do for porn they do shoot these that before or after scenes that are just like, were you okay with this? Did you consent to this? And it's their job. Obviously they're going to say yes, but that doesn't mean that anything that you see in that is real. And it teaches young boys that if you're aggressive and if you do this or that to a woman, then they will always be ready and they will always say yes. And it teaches young women to be like, oh, if I do this or that or the other, then this guy will like me. And as you said, Meg, that can leave them to stay with abusive people because they've been told that that's what is real. That's what they're being told, that if he abuses you, he likes you, essentially. And yeah, it's just horrific. I don't know where I'm going with this point. It's just really bad, and I feel like that needs to be changed. Right, that how the porn industry approaches everything needs to be changed, and it is changing slowly, but I think that's a big one.
Just needs to be abolished. We have
Yeah.
progressed past the
Well, not
need
necessarily, because as I said before, there are independent people who do actually earn money from this.
I mean, not the porn industry as a whole. I mean, I don't know how to word it. The big organizations and the pimps.
Yeah, the industry. Yes. Meg, are you okay? You seem to have frozen completely on my screen. Uh-oh.
Oh no, Meg, are you still there?
Oh, Discord froze. Casper, riff for a bit whilst I read this.
Yeah, my point is that society has progressed past the need for big porn companies to take 95% of the money and give the actors 5%. People should take it into their own hands and start their own small businesses through not OnlyFans, because they don't pay tax and they were taken to court for it.
Oh, hello! Welcome back. Hey, sorry, I don't know what happened there.
For it recently.
Died, it's right.
And we hate that. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to move us out of the porn industry, because I feel like I made my point, and now we're just talking about how the porn industry should be abolished. So yes, the porn industry definitely needs to at minimum be changed, and some cases be abolished in terms of the actual industry stuff. But what about educating? Because that's also a part of it. Because it's not enough to just abolish porn, because then the thing that people were learning from in the first place is just gone, and there's still nothing in its place.
I don't mean completely abolished. I mean changed so the actors are like independent and in charge.
Yes, which I think is happening. Like Pornhub recently had a thing where they've banned all unverified accounts. So you have to send in a picture of yourself and go through a process to get your account verified, so that your content can have that verified tick, and you can actually upload, because you can't anymore because of how much trafficking was done through its site. And I think that was a big step towards change. I mean, obviously people can still be coerced and can still be trafficked through these things, unfortunately, through these processes, but I think it makes it harder, and it is a step in the right direction in terms of that. But I want to move on from porn now, because I feel like we talked about it too long, and I want to talk about actual education.
We could argue that it's the media industry in general that needs to change. That would be a nice place to move into from now.
Yeah.
And
how do you mean? Explain.
I mean that on kids' TV shows and cartoons and shit, they used to, when I was a child anyway, perpetuate the stereotype that if a boy pulls your hair, he likes you.
Mm-hmm.
If children's TV and TV in general changed to show a girl saying, "Don't do that, I don't like that, that doesn't mean you like me, that is bullying," I think that could make the world of difference, because I grew up as a little girl thinking it was perfectly acceptable for a boy to pull my hair in a class if he was sat behind me, because it happened on the TV.
Yeah, it goes back to that, like, girls end up learning boys can abuse you and it's okay because that means he likes you, and
and it would be a really nice way to educate as well if we had some TV shows and even big YouTubers speak about these issues and speak about the issues that present girls. And
I mean, fucking Zoella tried to do a sex toy company sponsorship and got in so much shit for it. So I don't know how much of a platform YouTubers have, unfortunately, if that shit's gonna happen.
I mean, like, do you remember that video that's like, consent is like tea?
No.
Yeah, I've seen it. Yeah,
I don't know this at all.
That video?
I haven't.
Oh, there's a video, I've forgotten who it is, who it's by, but it's massive, and we were actually, and I was told that they're now shown it in children's PSE lessons. It's an animated video, and it's like, consent is like tea. Passed out people don't want a cup of tea. And it's like, stuff like asleep people don't want a cup of tea and stuff like that, and it's a really simple, quite entertaining way to explain consent to young people. And was it Jack and Dean?
I can't remember who, but I remember it.
I think it was Jack and Dean, genuinely, because I think I've seen them say the rhyme at Summer in the City once. Like, I genuinely think it's them.
Consent. Consent has, I think, 9 million views on YouTube. Uploaded on 12th of May 2015 by Blue Seat Studios. I think that's the right thing. I can't. I could share my screen share, but my setup is very precarious right now, and I don't know what that will do. So,
like a cup of tea. There we go. It's been Googled quite a lot of time. Tea and consent. These ones are all fucking uploaded by the police and stuff.
Oh.
I don't think this is the video that I'm talking about.
I think I know the one though. It was like,
look up consent is tea. There's a few ones. I will watch it after this podcast because of how my setup is right now. I don't want to move anything. I accidentally pulled up Messenger earlier, and fortunately it was only on our conversation, Meg, where I'd sent you the link and talked about the names of our pet rats, so that's fine. But I pulled that up and I looked at it like, oh fuck, oh no, I'm live. So I'm not going to fuck with anything right now, but look it up, those who haven't seen it, and I will have to have a watch of it later. Someone just said Mayamore69 in my... That is not a piss-taker username, I promise, despite the number at the end. Said in my chat, religion has peddled shame and guilt around sex and sexuality that is ingrained into social structures we live in. Now, I want to talk about this, but I do want to preface it with saying that I do know that there are some religious people out there who aren't complete cunts. I know that. I am adversely against religion for many, many reasons, but I do know that there are some religious people out there who are perfectly fine and perfectly lovely. So yes, that is a thing. However, yes, there is a deep shame ingrained in especially Western society about sex and sexuality and women's rights. Because of religion, because people wanted to take the Bible all different ways. So it's like that women don't have the same rights as men, or gays need to be stoned to death. All of these stupid, ridiculous misinterpretations.
Mixed fabrics is also.
I did see a thing the other day though that in I think it was the Hebrew Bible before it got translated to English, they actually stated that paedophilia was wrong. That then got changed to being gay is wrong. So they basically said that, oh yeah, you can, paedophilia is fine, but homophobic, nah.
No. Oh, God damn.
I think the Catholics are pretty. Is that too controversial?
Like I when I say I am adversely against religion, it is the one thing that is the great equalizer for me is that I am against all of them. Across the board. I really do not like religion for my own reasons that aren't exactly relevant, so I won't go into them, but also for the adverse effects it's had on sex and sexuality and gender.
Was your school religious?
My school, my primary school that I went to originally was very religious, and they pulled me out. My mother pulled me out of that school because I went to every morning we would do the whole prayers and stuff, and I came home one day as this little fucking 5-year-old me or whatever the fuck, being like, "Mummy, I can hear God in my head." And I can definitely see why she immediately pulled me out and homeschooled me for the next 5 years. The next school I went to after that was also a Church of England school. It was also
I went to Church of England school, and I went to church a lot as a child, as a teenager as well. Actually, I went to church a lot until I came out as bisexual when I was 15, and then a pastor. What are they called? The people that speak at church, what are they called?
Vicar?
A vicar told me that I shouldn't speak about in church. So myself and my mother actually stopped attending church. She's a Catholic and always will be. I respect that. I respect her views because she believes in that and she doesn't use them against me. However, school definitely used religion against me. We were taught that sex is shameful and you should only do sex to have a baby, which fucked with my head a bit when I was a teenager, for want of a better phrase. Because
I think at least in the high school that Ryan and I attended is that it was very shameful. It wasn't a Church of England school, but it was like what the popular kids did, and then it's like, oh, if you weren't popular, you couldn't. And then if you found out that a popular girl had sex, oh, she's no, you don't want to talk to her. She's a bit of a slut.
Yeah.
But a popular guy had it. Oh yeah, he's well cool, isn't he? He's
It was really weird in my school because they taught us sex was bad, but also there was a year 7 in my high school, and you're like 11 in year 7, who was pregnant. So
I just wanted to add about our school. It was very much like because from the male perspective side of things, I never got like the whole oh this guy's a slut. It's oh, this guy's awesome, fucking love that guy, everyone wants to be friends with that guy, and it's just like the double standard is absolutely fucking ridiculous. And I also wanted to just a quick kind of unrelated anecdote, but you said that our school wasn't a Church of England school. You could have fooled me because in I think year 9 in English, I cannot remember the name of my English teacher to save my life, and I won't say it here because we're live, even if I did, but I said God damn it in one of her lessons, and she got me in so much shit because apparently that was a swear, and I didn't understand what the fuck she meant. And I was like, what the fuck? And it was because religion. That was the whole thing. Right,
Yeah,
sorry,
no.
go on, let's get back on topic.
We had an RE teacher who was like that, who actually got fired for locking a child in a store cupboard when they said, "I don't believe in God." Who once sent me out of a classroom and made me stand outside and look at my feet because I said, "Jesus Christ, I hate this lesson." She also locked a child in a cupboard for an hour and was sacked.
Yeah. I sorry to interrupt, but whilst we're on the topic of religion and everything, I'm getting a few messages in my chat now that I just want to read out because it's nice to have people chatting. Also, quick note: thank you, Emrys and Givos Legacy for following me. That's very kind of you. But I didn't want to interrupt earlier when you did. So anyway, I'm getting a couple of messages here. Firstly, on the cup of tea thing, we've got people can stop wanting a cup of tea halfway through the drink. Would be a good one too. Consent needs to stop being talked about like a one-time checklist. People should be asking and checking all the way through. That's from Bottler Joel. Also from Bottler Joel down here, we've got in the Bible, it says rapist needs to buy the victim off her father, which is fucked up. And at the same time, religion treats conversion around sex, the conversation, around sex as a bad thing, which has permeated through society. So it's harder to fix the damage it's caused.
Yeah,
and
that's...
yeah.
I think...
I'll get to the other messages in a second, but let's talk about that.
It's just outdated. It needs to be updated. That's what it needs. We need a new Bible. And I know that is
the new
very problematic and possibly sacrilegious.
Yeah, in the next 100 years, it's going to be the New Testament.
Like,
the
Bible,
the Testament version 2.0. It's just a cyber Bible.
The Bible was supposedly written hundreds and hundreds of years ago. Society changes.
Yeah, and you cannot hold the same rules. You cannot hold the same rules as we, as a society and as a world, as we progress, because it's progression. That's the point. It's progression, and the key values of any religion, even the religion I follow, which is Satanism, which is why I'm adversely against religion as a whole, because it's kind of like an anti-religion, you know. Even the religion I follow has three main things: don't hurt people, be kind to yourself, be kind to others, and don't hurt people or animals.
Yeah.
I mean, the all animals thing is debatable in some religions, but those are like the three main things of my religion, and even mine, which is named after Satan, who is apparently the be-all, end-all of all evil in Christian culture, has those three base laws, and pretty much every religion has that. And those are the three base laws you need. It doesn't matter what you believe in, whether you're a Satanist and your main belief is in yourself, or you are a Christian and your main belief is in this God, or you're Muslim and your main belief is in that God. It doesn't matter as long as you're following those three main rules and not interpreting your religious texts to subvert those, because you can't follow those three main rules and also be like, the gays need to be stoned, women don't deserve rights.
It just needs to be updated. I think religions as a whole need to be updated. I am a member of the Satanic Temple, which is a kind of spin-off of Satanism. And
part of the OG crowd, my G.
It's a spin-off. The other day, we on one of the Facebook groups, because there's Facebook groups, it's a social thing, like do Zoom meetings every so often. There was a run-in with a Church of Satan member yesterday, and the Church of Satan member was like somebody.
A whole different thing.
So somebody.
I'm a member of the Church of Satan.
Of a pentagram T-shirt, and the Church of Satan member was like, "Oh, that's not right," and everybody else's argument was, what might not be right to you is right to somebody else. Like,
yeah. I mean, I don't think a shirt is the same as other people's rights, but yes, you're correct, yeah.
But, like, it's the same. I think that all religions need to just respect each other, basically.
Yeah. Right, I
tie it back in. I found another point.
1 second, the cat's trying to open my bedroom door.
Go on, Meg. What?
To tie it all back into like, the women and violence is that even if you're not raised Christian, you're not Christian yourself, no one around you is. Those elements are still within society, even if you're not a religious society. So, with back into like talking about rape, Christians like, oh, we don't talk about that. It's very rude. It's very vulgar. So the women are more likely to not want to talk about it because that's how they, it's
perpetuated it.
And yeah, exactly. Religion needs to be updated and say that it's okay to have these conversations because it's very outdated and like prudish.
Yeah.
Really. I don't know if it's prude the right word.
Yeah, and like the Pope recently said that he won't bless same-sex marriages, and it's just you're not talking about things, isn't making those things go away, and it isn't helping them either. The lack of conversation surrounding this stuff is awful. Hello, Sean. I see you in chat. Right. Whilst I have people.
Yes, I do, even though there is nothing in it.
Whilst I have people in my chat, I just quickly want to say, you can type !charity in the chat to get the donation link. Even if you can donate £1, we're currently benefiting Solace Women's Aid, as you can see up here on the top above these guys. Donate anything you can, even if it's just £1. It will be £1 more than we had at the start, and that's awesome. They're a very good charity. They do a lot of work helping survivors of domestic abuse, both women and children down in London, and I just think that's awesome. So if you can donate, type !charity in the chat now to get a link. Thank you. So yes, there's a lot of conversation we can have about religion here, and most of the messages I have here are about other topics in religion, but I think maybe let's keep it down to keep it back to the violence against women, and what I want out of this podcast is what we can do about it, because as soon as Sarah Everard, as soon as that case became just worldwide news. And I saw everywhere statistics, a lot of statistics. And I thought that was great because raising awareness is a good thing. But I've now spent a very long time hearing statistics. And they have definitely hammered the message home to me as a man of that there is an issue. But I don't hear as much not necessary solutions, because no one person could give a direct solution that fixes everything, but I don't hear as much being said about what is the next step, because these statistics are here. What is being done to lower them? What can we do as individuals to lower them, and what can we do as a society to lower them? And this is where I want to get you guys' thoughts on this, because I have some thoughts of my own, but Meg, would you like what do you think is the next step for us as a world on this?
I think to get back to the very point and the very cause of it all, so if you're friends with someone and you notice they have these tendencies to be a bit hands-on with other people that may not look consensual, you need to step in and you need to say, hey, that's not okay, before it becomes a problem. That's like the root of it all. I think that's a very important step to take. Let's carry on, yeah.
And also,
no, go on. I think that's good points. But yeah, Casper.
If your friend like makes a comment about a barmaid's boobs, pick them up on that. Like, it's the small things as well as the touching a girl's ass in a club. If your friend is like, oh, I like her, I don't know what straight men say, but if
I guess.
your friend is like, oh, you're dressed nice for me, or whatever to the barmaid, pick them up on it. Make them apologise to the barmaid then and there, because I have done. I used to do that a lot when I went to the pub, and they will never make a comment like that again. If you're like, "Oi, say sorry, that was out of line," they won't ever do it again.
There's far better ways to compliment someone. Like, you don't have to be vulgar about it. You know, you can say to her, "You look really nice. Can I have this drink, please?" Blah blah blah. Like, you don't need to say, "Oh, nice tits, give me a pint." Like,
yeah, exactly. You can say, "I like your makeup," or "I like your haircut," not "your tits look nice in that dress."
Yeah, we're not saying you can't compliment someone. It's just there's a better way to go about it.
Yeah, because it's just objectification at the end of the day. All you're doing is reducing the person you're talking to their boobs and their ass. That's it. Yeah. You're just and it's not very. It's not very interesting of you and your person, and it's also not making them feel comfortable or making them feel safe at all. Like, you just look like a dickhead. There's nothing else to say.
And like, it needs to be normalized making these people look like dickheads. That's the thing. Because they think it's perfectly acceptable. They can get a pint from someone at a bar after they've had a couple of drinks and think it's perfectly acceptable to stare at her tits or look down her top. If you make a spectacle out of them and tell them that they are a dickhead in front of people, they will never do it again. And I am a 4'11" mouthy dickhead. What can be that sort of thing.
I see messages about this as well, and I will get to those in a second. Sorry, but I just wanted to ask you guys what can be done before that guy even gets into a bar, before that guy is even old enough to drink. What does the teacher or the parent, especially the parent, what does the parent say to that kid, or the guardian or whatever? What do they say to that kid who is going to end up going to that bar and going to end up being that creepy weirdo who's just like, "Oh, nice tits, love, give us a pint"? You know, what do you say before he even gets to that bar? What do you say to him then?
The way I see it is that, for example, if you're a guy and the barmaid is female, don't say anything to her that you wouldn't say to your mother or your sister.
Yeah.
I think that's it. You know,
that's a nice one.
Just don't speak to a woman or a person. Don't speak to any other people like you wouldn't speak to a family member. It's a good rule of thumb to have.
Yeah.
Sorry, do you have any other points? Because I just wanted to read some messages.
Nah, go for it.
No, all right. So I've just got someone pure and simple. I love this. Mayor Moore, better law, more protection, severer punishments, legalize prostitution. All those 4 points concisely put, and I love that. Yeah. There's quite a big conversation to be had about prostitution, but I will say that I agree, because the current state of things, obviously, if you do legalize it completely, you have pimps who take advantage, which is a bad thing. But if you legalize and regulate, then you can have actual safe spaces for people to be able to do the work that they are going to do anyway. Because by making it illegal, or by making it so that these women can't have safe spaces where they can get help if there is someone being abusive or whatever, then you are then you're just making an unsafe space, and you're making it so that this job that people are going to do anyway is not safe for them to do. Yes, go on.
There is a place in Leeds where it is legalised and regulated, and they have police round there pretty much all the time, because there has to be, in case something goes wrong. And
which is good.
There's a documentary series about it on BBC Three. I think it's called Murder in the Red Light District or something. And it is about this lady and who was murdered. So the council and the government of Leeds thought, we need to stop this from happening. We need to protect these women. So they legalised it. And it follows these women, like, just around their day-to-day life. Like, being a prostitute and working. And you can tell that they feel safe. And I don't understand why they haven't rolled that out around the UK. Because there's proof that it works.
I think it comes back to the whole religion debate. Like, even though we're not a religious country, we kind of are. And it's a taboo, and you don't want to allow that on the streets. You don't want, you don't want to see it. And it's like, women can feel safer if, it goes back to religion, I think.
Yeah, and it's just, like, I don't understand why, because if you illegalize something, it's not going to stop people doing it. It's just going to make people do it unsafely.
Yeah,
it makes it safer.
I have heard stories of places that have just completely legalized heroin. Like the most addictive, the one of the most severe drugs that people can generally associate with addiction and death. Right, completely legalized it. Cases went down instantly because there's no way of it being unsafe. Obviously it needs to be more regulated in terms of just being like, oh, it's legal now, go do what you want. Obviously there needs to be regulation, but making something illegal, they're still gonna fucking do it, and it's still gonna hurt people because they haven't got someone to turn to. They can't turn around and go to the police and be like, oh, this person abused me, because they'll just turn around and be like, wait, did they pay you? Well, fuck you then.
Removing that taboo of the topic to make people more comfortable talking about it, going right back to being assaulted. If you remove the taboo of being assaulted, you're more likely to get victims to come forwards, and we can catch the perpetrators.
Yes, which should be the immediate response. To bring it back what we were talking about earlier, where the current immediate response is why. Or what were you wearing, or did you exchange money, or this or that or the other. It shouldn't be that. It should be, let's go and catch the perpetrator now. Let's what did he look like? Where was this? What time? How do we go and get this person? I also had a message here saying it needs to be talked about in school a lot more regularly. Regulation in the porn industry needs to happen, which we have talked about, and talk about red flags and what they are, and call them out so people don't think what can I get away with. That's because that's a thing. Like, if you sit down an entire year in a high school, say year 9 for example, I think that's when I had my sex ed, and you sit down all these boys and girls all in the same room, and you go, if you say this, you write it up on the board like some objectifying things like nice ass or whatever, and you write that in quotation marks on a big fucking whiteboard. You point at it and go, if you say this, you're a cunt. And everyone in that fucking year will be able to look at each other and go, okay, if you say that, you're a cunt. And I'm paraphrasing here, obviously. I know teachers wouldn't do that, but like if you then walk past someone in the hallway, and your mate goes, oh, look at the arse on that, then you can turn around and be like, you're a cunt. Like, you are being a dickhead.
Yeah. Calling people out before they even get to the point of assaulting someone, noticing those behaviours, noticing those red flags, and saying, hey mate, that's not okay.
And I think
that'll solve a lot of problems.
Maybe lessons about relationships at school. I went to a lot of LGBT youth groups when I was a teenager because I was an LGBT teenager. And at those groups, we had healthy relationship lessons. And it wasn't as boring as it sounded. Like, someone came in and they just spoke to us about what we should look out for. And spoke to us about our relationships with usually each other, because that's how LGBT youth groups work. And how we could make them more healthy, and how to communicate when something isn't okay. And I personally found that a lot more helpful in, one, helping me leave a very abusive relationship. And it's helped me to this day, because before I form a relationship with someone, I always think, hang about a minute, like, think back to that youth group session when you were 17. What was on that board? Do I need to think about any of those things? And chances are, I don't.
I think all of that needs to go into education instead of having extra groups. People can attend if they want.
Oh my God.
I wish I knew about all that.
Like, I do really think the LGBT youth groups I attended as a teenager contributed to a large amount of my education. Like, not just sex ed and healthy relationships and stuff. I learned about, like, chemsex and shit at a very young age. So I never fell into that. And
sorry to interrupt. You're making some very valid points, and I did just interrupt you there with that. Oh my God! But Joel just donated 20 quid to the Solus Women's Aid fundraiser. So thank you so much. That's incredible. Which means we have reached the £50 goal. Casper, would you mind coming downstairs and drawing cat whiskers on me?
This is my Dan and Phil phase has been leading up to this moment. I have been waiting for this moment for my entire life.
Right, okay. Yeah, it's happening.
They
it's
come
happening
from within.
If you get to £500, I think you should get them permanently tattooed on your face.
If we get £500 in this, I will 100% get them permanently tattooed on my face.
Right, we gotta get these numbers up.
Joel didn't even realise that it was going to happen, apparently. But yes, that was the deal. Because I wanted to set the goal for £50 because I'm a smaller streamer and it's just more realistic. Unfortunately. But the minimum I could set is 100, so I'll be like, okay, I really want to hit 50. So if I can hit 50, I need to do something. So here we go.
Whoa, you guys live in the same house?
Oh my God. No, he drove here in like seconds. I need to not talk. So Meg, do you have any more thoughts? Because I'm gonna enjoy
this, to be honest. Just watch it.
Okay. Casper, do you have any thoughts? I can't talk and I don't want to fill the silence.
I will talk about cat whiskers. When I was a teenager, I used to do this to myself voluntarily every single day for high school because I still am a Dan and Phil fan. But now I'm 25, I'm not ashamed of it. That's the difference.
It's alright. Rye used to come into school wearing an anonymous mask, so you can't do worse than that.
Oh, please don't expose me on my live stream.
It's your fault for inviting me.
Drew. Oh, are we done? Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Beautiful. Also, I will note that this isn't just for this one live stream. Because we are getting towards the end of the podcast now as well. But this is for the rest of the live streams this week. Was the deal. So every live stream this week up until Sunday, you can tune in. I think Thursday to Saturday it's at 4, and on Sunday it's at 8. And I will have cat whiskers on my face the entire time. So that's something to look forward to. And Joel, I've put your name up on the thing here because I'm supposed to have a board in the background here, but the lighting's awful. You can't see it. My writing's bad. So it's just come to this thing on here. But thank you for that, Casper. And here we are, £50 raised for Solus Women's Aid, which that's amazing. So thank you to the people who have donated so far. Thank you, Joel, for helping us hit that that £50 goal. That's incredible.
Yeah.
Right, so let's go back to talking about serious issues. Now I've got cat whiskers on.
The link on Flappy Hands, and I will probably speak about it some more.
Yes,
possibly
yeah.
tomorrow, and that's it.
I don't know how Totify works. This is my first fundraiser. I want to keep it going. I don't know if because I had to enter dates at the start, and I was like, oh, I'm doing it between here and here. So I don't know if that means that the Tiltify thing runs out at the end. I'm hoping not, because I do hope to leave the link up after this week, because obviously the violence against women and all of these issues aren't going away overnight. They by the end of this week, they are still going to be there, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But I am just
And
hoping
there
that
will
this
still
money
be women-
will help some people, and this conversation will help some people either now or in the future, because there is an archive channel where this podcast goes up. Excuse me. Right.
And
Yes.
let's talk about women's charities and refuges for a minute, because that is what we are raising money for.
Mm-hmm.
And they're life changing. They're wonderful,
do you have any?
places?
Do you have any you can name? Because obviously we are here for Solace Women's Aid specifically right now. But do either of you have any charities that immediately come to mind that you would like to name? Because there are many.
I only know the name of one in Stockport, and I don't want to name it for safety reasons.
Right.
Because, yeah, it's... I don't know the name of the people that run it. I know the name of the centre. And it's not something that's broadcasted. But I know that that charity in Stockport, where I'm originally from, do wonderful things. They're not just a shelter for women. They don't just give them a room. They give them counselling. They give the kids education if they need it, because a lot of the time these kids can't go to school because they've escaped a horrible situation and it's not safe for them. So they educate these kids, they help the women get houses, and they help them apply for benefits, and they help them write a CV and get them back on their feet. And it's an ongoing thing, and not many people seem to know what they actually do. But
sorry, what was the name?
Just Solace Women's Aid. That's what they do as well, but they are specifically in London. They help with CVs, and they get people back on their feet, and it's a lot more than just giving them a room. It's social work, and they also have therapy groups and counselling, and these women form friendships and support each other through everything, and it's just so wonderful. And it's not spoken about, but there is these places in every city, like all over the world probably, and I've only ever seen one documentary about a women's hostel, and I don't know, I think it needs to be spoken about more, because they are
talking about this, like,
lovely.
I'm a woman. I've always been that. I've never known about any. No one's ever told me about women's shelters in my area, or when I went to uni, it was never talked about. And I've been fortunate that I've never needed one. But if I knew that there was one there, I know I would feel so much safer, and I could tell my friends who needed them. But it's not talked about. It's not shared.
It goes back to the education thing. If these shelters went into schools and handed out business cards to the women, to the girls and women in the schools that work there and stuff, that could give a child a lifeline to phone. If they are in a domestically abusive situation at home, or know somebody that is. And I think that if they were spoken about, obviously they can't be publicised much because of safety issues. But if they had spokespeople that went into schools and youth groups and even universities, especially universities, to speak to the students and let them know what they do, and that someone is there for them. That would be wonderful, but unfortunately these places don't have much funding, which is why charity streams like this one is so important, because they're quite often overlooked, especially by the government. So a lot of them rely on the general public to fund them, which is why we're here now. That's why we're having this conversation.
And you know, definitely the government needs to step in and raise the funding for these charities. I do want to give a quick shout out to Women's Aid, which is a separate charity to Soulless Women's Aid, and I made a blunder because this is my first time doing fundraising stuff. But I did email Women's Aid, the charity Women's Aid, originally, being like, hey, I'm going to do a fundraiser for your charity. And then when I typed in Women's Aid into Tiltify, it was Soulless Women's Aid, which I then signed up for thinking it was Women's Aid. And they're two completely different charities. I do hope to do something with Women's Aid in the future, and hopefully I get a response back from that email and we can set something up. Unfortunately, I messed up there, and it's the completely different charity. But I do want to say there is also Women's Aid. That is a good charity as well.
To be fair, they do have very similar names.
They do have very similar names. But also on the topic of this one we're doing fundraiser for right now, SoullessWomen'sAid.org is where you can find more information about their organisation specifically. They mainly do work in London, but I'm sure if you're in other areas, they can signpost you anywhere. And if you are able to, if you are safe, if you are ever if you are ever in a situation where you need to get out of, and you can quickly look it up on your phone, there are all kinds of helplines. All you have to do is type in Women's Aid helpline, for example. You will get a ton of results. So these things are out there. It shouldn't have to fall to you to do the research yourself. These things should just be signposted everywhere.
Yeah.
But it is there, and if you do search it, it is around.
Also, something that I think we need to say is that if you are escaping a domestically abusive situation, if you get on any train and you tell them that that's what you're doing, they will let you on for free. You can go anywhere in the country if you tell them, I am escaping this situation.
That needs to be publicised more. I never knew that.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
I need to get out of this city. It's something that I read one article about last year, I think it was. It's very recent. But if you explain to the train conductor that you're on the way to a new city, that you're on the way to get help, or go to a friend's house or go to a hostel or something, they'll let you on for free and no questions asked.
We are coming towards I didn't mean to just there. That is a very, very good point, and something I didn't know about before, Casper. That is very good information. I do want to say, though, we are kind of at the end of the time that we've given ourselves for this podcast. I want to read I want to read these last few messages here. Maya Moore says women should have more power and control over a lot of things, and I think that's definitely true. Emrys, thank you for the $10 there via Tiltify. That is very, very kind of you, which bumps us to £60.69. That's amazing. Thank you. Oh my god, it's the cat whiskers. They're bringing luck.
It's Dan and Phil. It's Dan and Phil.
And I am hoping that in the future we have a lot more young female leaders in a lot of countries and a lot of subjects and a lot of areas, because look at fucking New Zealand, man. I mean, come on. New Zealand is... I know! It's amazing. It's incredible. Their response to COVID was great. And their president is a young woman who has managed to make great things happen in that country. And that's amazing. Also, most women's issues are taboo subjects, especially in schools. That's another message from what we were talking about earlier, which is very true.
Yeah.
Meg, maybe were any women's issues explained to you in high school?
I think we had like an hour-long lesson about how tampons work.
Same.
That was it.
We had to put a tampon in a glass of water. Did you do the same?
That was it. And it was all right, if you need any help, just go to the nurse. We're not going to talk to you about it. Just go to the nurse.
We did have free sanitary towels and tampons given out at schools. Most colleges do it as well. So do unis. If you ever start a period in any sort of educational facility and you pop to the reception and tell them, they'll give you something for it.
Guys, 1 second. I accidentally moved the donation goal. Emrys just donated again. £9 to make the total $69.69.
Very good.
Which is incredible and very funny. And thank you so much, Emrys, for donating twice there. That's very, very kind of you. That's amazing. Thank you so much. And also in chat there. Oh, Emrys is just putting little hearts in chat. That's amazing. Thank you so much. And also Mayamore also says that Promising Young Women is a very good film relevant to the subject. I've never seen this film, and we are. Have you heard good things about this?
Yeah, I mean, the title really is Promising Women. It talks about women a lot, and I haven't watched it yet, though, but I've heard that it's very good.
I think I'll have to check out the synopsis of it after this podcast. Right, so this is the closing part of the podcast now because we have run out of time. Is there anything else that... Me too. I'm not going to lie. But yes, thank you so much to people who donated. Thank you so much to people who have been in chat. This has been incredible. This has been so good. And thank you, Meg, for joining us. This has been great. Oh, by the way, at Megan Holloway Art, is that right? All one word?
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Go buy Meg's art. She's amazing. Do it. She's amazing. She does very, very good work. Casper, I see you there. Thank you for the donation of £10. Thank you. Oh my god. This is wow. But anyway, sorry, Meg. It's just it's Meg's spotlight right now. She did my profile picture. Which I adore so much, and Casper's end screen on YouTube is incredible, amazing artist. Meg, shit! I missed out a letter because my brain's moving too fast, and I'm overwhelmed because of the donations. Meg, is there anything you would like to add as the closing thoughts? This is the end here, so is there anything you would like to add as our final words?
Just kind of add on to how you can help women is exactly what you two have done today, and that's give women a voice, give women a platform to talk on and talk about their issues and take them seriously.
Incredible. So that's it. That's amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you, stream. Just thank you. This has been so good. And I will be streaming here 4 p.m. if you want to see these cat whiskers again. Right, that's it. Thank you so much. And I think Meg's frozen again, so I'm going to end the stream there. Thank you and goodbye.
I'm going to end my stream now.